Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. For those who have been wondering or waiting to see if Elizabeth Craft Designs would have a series of cats to join the dogs and the mouse collection, yes, here it is. Joset has designed these adorable cats for the cute and whimsical collections of Elizabeth Craft Designs. There's 5 die sets and a stamp set. So we've got our kitties here, much like the dogs and the mouse collection. Lots of different pieces. So you can build your cat in any way that you want. Maybe you have a cat that you're trying to copy a real life kitty. Well, here is a great set to be able to do that. And a couple different positions, sitting, standing, and laying down. Now, of course, we want to decorate our cats. So let's look at those sets real quick. We have the cat clothing. And again, mix and match a little bit there. You've got all the basic pieces. Another nice, big, generous set to dress your kitties if you want. Then we have some cat accessories. The bed, the fishbowl, and our little mouse, some food. We're going to take a look at some of these pieces a little more closely because even if you aren't into the kitty scene, there might be some pieces here that will really tempt you. Then we have a big old surprise box, some balloons and some ribbons, and a couple hats. And this is a nice big box. So again, a set that there's no cats in this set. It's just to decorate, but you can also decorate either the other animals or maybe some other theme totally that you may have. And then there's a cat scratching post. So this doesn't have the cat. It's just a large size scratching post. And then finally, the perfect cat sentiments to go with all these kitties. And some of these are some are funny and some are touching. A really nice selection of sentiments. So let's get started looking at some cards, and I'll go through what I used here. The first one I want to show you is a kitty in the cat bed, but not dressed. So I want to show you a couple cats where there's no clothes on them. And then I started out this way, and then I thought, well, I need to start dressing some of my cats. So this one has the laying down cat, and then a lot of these have the stripes and whatnot, but you can see a couple don't. And I want to show you, in fact, I keep it in this die set, something that I found online, and I thought I saw this on Instagram, but when I went back to look for it, I couldn't find it again, but I did see it pop up in Pinterest. So I don't know who did this. It was under eCraft Designs, and I thought it was Instagram. But again, if you're looking for this, look under Pinterest. When I found one of the cat dies and I clicked on it, and then you scroll up and there's other cat-related things, that's where it popped up. But this is a card someone made. You make all 9 lives worth living. But what I like about this, it's a fabulous reference to some of the different styles for the face using the different pieces in the die set. So I'm just using this for reference. And then, if you have one that doesn't have stripes on the face, well, maybe you don't want stripes on the body. But what's fun is you can just play with this and do so many different things. And I've got the bed and the ball of yarn. We'll talk about where I got the rug here in just a second. And then Best Friends Forever is from the stamp set. And then if I open this up on the inside, I just had congrats on your new fur baby, which I thought was kind of a neat sentiment, because how many times do we say congratulations for infants, but not necessarily for 4-legged children? And because it says fur baby, if you have the dog collection, you could definitely use this sentiment for the dogs as well. So then I have another cat that I didn't dress, and I kind of went crazy now with some of the other pieces, the accessory set. So in the background, I have the cat scratching post. Now it's kind of in the background, and I'm just using basically this post here for the cat to sit on. But I did pull that down behind the box because I was trying to position the box and the cat, and I didn't want the cat way up here. I also then, because I cut it too short, had to go back and add in. So just know that I altered that a little bit, but it still worked. Look at how big that box is. I figured it might be a box from Amazon, and I'm stuffing it with the fish bones and some of like raffia. So here is the surprise box, some packing material with my fish bones, and then the fish bones come from cat accessories. So I've got several things here that I can decorate my kitties with. Here's where the bed is as well, and the ball of yarn right down here. So I had fun with this one. This maybe would be a good birthday card or something. I have a perfect day, and I didn't pick another sentiment for the inside. But you can see how this cat is pretty plain as far as any markings on it compared to the first one. So again, you can go all out or you can keep it very simple. The other thing that I think is really interesting are how the eyes are done. And Joset does have a video on putting the cats together and some of the clothes. So if you're not sure about something, you can always get on YouTube or Facebook and check that out. So then I thought, well, I need to start dressing some of my guys. So you do need to kind of put the clothes on while you're putting your cat together. You don't want to put your cat together and then, try to put the shirt on or something. So you need to do it as you're building your cat. And this one, I just used the basic shirt here, like a basic t-shirt. This shirt right here. And you can move the arms around. So like on my guy here, I wanted him to hold this can of tuna. So I moved his arms in. This is just an example of how you can do it. And I also use different legs. That's the other thing I started doing. These legs are not normally the front legs. Let's go back to our picture over here. So you can see the front legs are nice and long. So I believe what I did on this one, these are what would be the back legs, and his back legs are really this cat's leg laying down. So after a while, I was like, I can mix and match and move my legs around. I don't have to use just exactly what's on each of these kitties if I need something to change up. Now, because these back legs are chunky compared to the front legs, I did have to trim them down to make them fit inside my sleeve there. But again, I just tell you these things, so hopefully you will, experiment too and see what you can do. Now, I love that tuna can. Look at that little lid thing, to the little opener there, the little tab to open that can. So cute. And I just put tuna. You could make that can whatever you want. Here is the bowl with water and food. So I figure he's opening up his tuna can to fill his bowl. And then this plant, this is one I thought, I've got all those other dyes from the mice and the dogs. I could use some of those as well, especially if I need to fill in the background. So my plant comes from this dog set, living room, and there's that rug that I used for this one. So I did use this rug several times. I didn't go overboard trying to use all the other pieces because I wanted to focus with what's on the cats, but I can tell you I will start mixing in some other pieces. So let's look at another kitty, kind of positioned different. Here's a cat that's, probably going to get himself into some trouble. This is the standing cat. And so these two front legs are stationary and the back leg moves, and this front leg I can move. So I kind of tipped him back and positioned that back leg, and I knew what I was going to have him do. So then I could position this leg as well. Now, this leg basically is not the same here, just because I probably cut that off because I have his shirt on, and I did have to play with this for a little bit to get that jacket. It's his, I guess we would call it his jacket this one right here. I put a t-shirt on and then I had to play with the jacket because you can open and close that, swing it out, close it up. And then I just kind of played with the sleeve. So I really don't have his original leg under there. And then I just put his little paw. So again, play, play, play. And this is where I was just kind of having fun with the faces. All my cats are one of a kind. And then there's that great fishbowl, the table. Again, these are pieces I'm thinking if I ever need a great table or a fishbowl, there I go. I put 2 fish in mine. The background is vellum with that packing tape on it to kind of give it a glassy look. And this is a piece of like a acrylic overhead projector, acetate, whatever you've got that I cut out. But we know how when you glue that down on top, you see it. You see the glue. So I just glued the very base. So this piece is pretty open here. You can see how I move that. So I glued right here on the base, and I thought, well, I need to attach it somehow in the middle. So that's when I used the little bubbles from the fish. That's actually a little bit of glue, just enough to hold the front of my fishbowl down to the back of the fishbowl. So that's how I kind of disguise using the glue. There's that rug again from the living room set from the dogs. But again, I pull these apart. I could use that tuna can. I'm so in love with that. I could use that on its own. So the first cat I made, of course, I had to make it kind of an orange tabby cat. And I thought, well, this would be an excellent witch cat. Cute as can be. So there again is my table, the rug, and my kitty. And I kind of went all out with the stripes and everything. Then I dug through my die cuts that I have, just extra die cuts, and I pulled out some Halloween ones. So I don't know where the hat and the pumpkins are from. They're just in my stash of cut die cuts. So my little hat, I did pull this down a little bit because it sat up a little higher and I wanted to keep this into an A2 size card. So I just cut up the base and pulled the top of the hat down a little bit, and it's disguised by that little band. And then I just had these pumpkins in there, so I thought they fit on the table. And so I've got my little Halloween kitty. And then finally, I thought for my last card, we're in the dog days of summer. So, maybe my cat has a dog friend. And just maybe he's out there on the street and it's hot. So, nice little kitty gave her little dog friend a ride home. And I had fun with this. Again, I played with the position of the body for what looks like the lower legs. These are actually the long front legs that I used. And then that way he could reach the bottom of his scooter. And this is the scooter die that came out with the mouse collection. So let me show you that real quick. The scooter with the sidecar. I think we're finding that we can use really any of the animals in the sidecar, which is great. The glasses are from that sidecar kit. And then the dog is from the dog collection. And basically all I have to do is pick a head, ears, and just the top part of his body. That's all that peeks out. For the arms, I do want to mention, so I just picked a pair of paws out that I wanted. And then this piece underneath, I really didn't need a full arm. So what this piece is the fallout piece from the eyes. So this piece that falls out when you cut the head, it was just sitting there, and I thought, I wonder if that would work for an arm, and I just stuck it up underneath, and it does. You would have no idea that piece came out of it, the dog or the cat's eyeballs. So it was great to be able to just play with these guys. And there's one other thing I thought I'm going to do since I have 3 collections of animals now. So let me show you what my next little project is. I haven't gotten very far with it. I had this little notebook and I thought I'm going to die cut out all those pieces from all the sets and put them in a book that I can go through and reference, because I know I can mix and match these pieces with the animals. I also know I can use some of these other pieces for just cards for whatever theme I may be making. So I went out. This is the cat clothing die. I just put cats. I'll come up with a fancier way to do this, maybe clothing accessories, so I know that's where this is from. This one is the cat accessories, and this is a surprise box. So I need to go back and do the balloons and the ribbons. And I'll do this with all the sets. This is the living room set. So I've got 2 pages, and I want to show you something on this living room set. So these are all the pieces, and that great old chair. And you may say, well, I don't remember that chair. Let me show you how I came up with this one. So when I look at this die set, the first time I think I looked at it, I thought, oh, well, there's a chair. I've got this big chair, and I've got this smaller chair, not realizing these are the cushions for the big chair. And I just couldn't quit staring at that. And I thought, that would be such a cool chair. So I die cut all the pieces out, and then I took the die and set it down on a piece of solid cardstock, and I just traced around this outside edge. And then obviously once I die cut those pieces out of, say, my decorator paper, it was so easy just to glue them into place. So now I have a smaller chair. Might not be big enough to accommodate all of my animals, maybe the small mouse, but I can use that for something else as well. So I basically have 2 chairs that I love out of the living room set. So if you see something like that and you just can't get it out of your mind, give it a go and see what else you can do with it. And then for the mouse sets, all I've gotten so far is the baking accessories and all of the food from the baking accessories. So these, again, I bet I can use a lot of these pieces. For the cat, I know I can use the chef hats. And these pieces, if I just need some kind of cooking, baking, utensil dies for whatever I'm making, with or without those animals, there I go. So I've got a ways to go. This is one of those projects I'll work on, when you want to do something, but you don't know what that is. But in the meantime, if you are a fan of all of these animals that Joset has designed and you've been waiting for the cats to come out, whether or not you're a cat person, maybe you have a cat mom or dad that's a friend or another family member. It was so fun to play with these guys, and we've combined it with the dog. Just think, you can combine the cat and the mouse just as well. So I think this set is going to give us lots of enjoyment, lots of different uses. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you again in a future video.